12 years of bad luck. Suraya, welcome back. I reckon you've gotten the ropes at whatever site you're stationed at. Today, we'll be taking a closer gander at the bandwagon you've signed up on. Our history and how we do our business here. Talked about Quill's founding and how us wayfinders made landfall into this world last time. We'll go a couple of days past that odyssey. We left off our story in Fiume, November 1919, right after we founded Quill. First thing first, getting the ship out to sea. Without QB in this world, our powers were on the fritz. When we could firebomb a whole city by bedtime, now it's like trying to squeeze juice out of a rock. Had to set up a farmer's almanac to keep track how much we could shoot before running dry. Priority goes to powers we sorely needed. After that, it was a matter of who's with who. First crew was recon and intel. Know the rules of the house you enter, and we were still figuring out its cultures and norms. I had to translate everything from radio broadcast to nursery rhymes. The psychics cracked open every poor sep they crossed paths with, mentally that is, copying every memory and bit of knowledge for our use. Illinois telepathically spread the word across the board so we were all on the same page, piecing together a better picture of this world. Second crew was material and manpower. Get the ball rolling, gathering supplies, rounding up dough, and putting the squeeze on the locals. Ozzy cooked up enough metals and gold we needed to grease any palms. Amari cooked up concoctions to line our pockets and entice new hires. Hecate got instant transport running, but once she's dried up, switched to trucks and couriers. Ictan kept the gears well oiled, hiring the perfect marks to run our machine. Max was jumping in and out of broadcasts, picture shows, and magazines, peddling our name any way he could. Looking back, we could have done things much better with everyone on deck, but we couldn't wait a year for the third wave to arrive, so we gotta make do with the cards in our hands. As said last time, I convinced the rest we landed here for a reason. We all came to this world expecting a stagnating joint of glass cities and silicon machines like you see running around these days. Instead, we stumble in a world fresh out of a world war. And I gotta tell you, even though we've seen it all in our days as the Overlord's best operatives, nothing ever prepared us for the so-called peace of Versailles. Us wayfinders were slack-jawed at the atrocities you chumps were cooking up even before we came into the picture. We thought we knew mean business. We were the nightmare children back home, trained under the overlord of Vetuvius and Vashik of the gods. You humans, you showed us who's boss. We were enamored, enlightened, enraptured even. We saw things we'd never cooked up back home. Revolutions as far as the eye could see, anarchists, communists, colonial oppression, imperialism, racial and religious conflicts, mercenaries and insurrectionaries everywhere. Whole lot of blood and misery that would have made our overlord grin and intrigued. Whites and reds were duking it out across Eurasia. The Russian Civil War, the Vapausota, and the Spartacus and Freikorps in Germany. Monroe's boys were racketeering across Latin America over fruits. discrimination of Romanis and pogroms of Ashkenazis, oppression of indigenous folks everywhere, and don't get me started on the Japanese and Koryo and the Dutch in the East Indies. Even we had our personal run-ins. As I was moseying across East Europe, Hecades fought off the Spartacus. Miyako got tangled up with the massacres in Trebizond. Sunyata and Golgotha had a blast in Koryo and Manchuria. Emissaries got first-class seats to the Bolsheviks hanging kulaks. Ikutan had to slog through the Semana Tragica. We came here to spread our influence, but we got our plate from yours. We weren't sent to a world of stuck-up snobs to conquer. We were sent to a world of monsters to learn from. We figured you chums don't need our help to start fires. You were already doing that just fine. Figured we offered you a different service. Selling you the biggest tinderboxes you need. Humanity's got big dreams, but lots of obstacles. Imagine if you could just snap it all away. We can, and we are selling our services. Bidden price? Your success. Back in Vetuvius, we have a unique way of running things. Adventures guilds. Don't let the name fool you. Not as romantic as it sounds. Less Don Quixote chivalric nonsense. More lunchnecks and row-breakers. Decentralized, bottom-up, legitimized vigilantes. Like the Vemic courts of your world. Adventure parties, usually folk heroes and mercenaries, would pick up various gigs from their feudal capos, and they get ya just rewards for doing them. Initially thought it ain't gonna fly in this world, having moving on from petty feudalism. That's when Hikari took a closer gander at your issues. Anarchists, revolutionaries, mercenaries, Lycos, freedom fighters. The names change, but the game's the same. They may not call themselves adventurers, but dangle enough scratches for them to do our racket, and they jump. They became our first clients, or espiocrats in our books. Political parties, unions, militias, paramilitaries, art movements, and any other public groups. These were analogous to adventure parties, signing up to do our work, looking to use our powers to shape the world in their image. We do all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, all hush-hush, while the acolytes take it to the streets under the banner of whichever espiocrat they're part of. None the wiser, none suspects a thing. At worst, the coppers and big shots just assume other nations were funding them. As far as business goes, we ain't picky. Got the red carpet rolled out for any two-bit revolutionary to waltz over and get their perks. Give these chums anything they need, from cash and railguns to high binders with their egg scramble. Tough parts tending what's sprouting after the fire, and that's where our loyalty rewards come in handy. While the regular Joe Schmoes are our target audience, we've found some diamonds in the rough worth polishing. Hates in the clouds idealists, utopian schmucks the common sheep call eccentric for not thinking like the rest of them. These were our high rollers. They don't just bring something new to the table. They'll do anything to see their rose-tinted dreams come true. That includes dealing with the devil and being his advocate. But just as we were starting our gig, we've hit a snag. A big one. As we were squeezing the brains of big cheeses and tycoons like oranges, we started seeing a vague outline of a conspiracy. No skepticism on our part, we dove right down the rabbit hole to Wonderland. With every monkey suit sap we sponged, we made our way up their food chain. Culminated with us sneaking our way into the Weimar Assembly and snooping through everyone's egg salads. What we found was juicy and startling. Turns out, we ain't the only ones playing this puppeteer from the shadows sung and danced. Earth's got its own little cricket in its head, singing tunes and pulling strings long before we showed up. I'm talking about the Weishaupt Order of Solomon. Technically, the previous iteration before they spruced up their image. The beehive of Adam Weishaupt, better known by the nutcases as the Illuminati. An intercontinental get-along of top dogs, bankrolled by almost every fat cat you could ever imagine. Easily mistaken for radical liberals, the Luminists believe in the contradictory philosophy. To quote old Weishaupt, the human race will become one family and the world the abode of reasonable men. What a crock. They preach the world of free men, but wants to run it like a beehive. Self-proclaimed enlightened rational beings on top, while the common plebeians they freed were groveling on their feet. Robespierre's cult of supreme being, Lunacharsky's God-building, ain't far enough in their eyes. Once we knew about these fellows calling the shots from the shadows, we realized that this world just got a whole lot more complex. In other news, we just got the perfect playbook handed to us on a silver platter. Worlds in cinders at the time. Everyone needed a scapegoat to burn off their rage, and what's better than a centuries-old group that had been ruling from the shadows and treating humanity like a used gym sock. You should have seen the looks on our clients' faces when we shared the memories of every politician's industrialist, realizing how much they were all pawns in a bigger game. And a game it was, the greatest game. The maps the board, nations were tokens, and people were numbers. And we decided to crash this little game without their knowledge. Hopefully they don't mind having a natural competition for once. Which is why we slapped the multi-ocular panopticon on ourselves. The eye of Providence watches down from atop their pretentious pyramid, then where the eyes of the masses standing right back at them. A god can watch over the entire panopticon by himself, but it goes both ways. Every prisoner in the block can see him, and we're arming everyone. While we both run our rackets from behind the veil, the other's more top-down, elitist. Only big shots get in and get to run the show, while their goons are running around kissing boots. With Quill, the entry barrier's practically in the dirt. Your neighbor, your manager, your kindergarten teacher, the local bigwigs, that bum you saw sleeping in the park, they could all be in cahoots. From informants to high-ranking operatives working their second lives. We don't bark orders, we just post jobs. Pick 'em, pull 'em off however you want, as long as the goals are met. We lay out the goals for you mugs to achieve. We call them moves in the greatest game. No instructions, just end results. Everything in between is on you and whatever espiocrat you're chumming with. Speaking of which, you acolytes are free to carry the name of whatever espiocrat that's out there in public. Not interested in any of them? Not going to join any of the unions or any of the parties? No worries. Feel free to go solo. Quite a lot of independent acolytes with massive impacts. Need examples? 8 times out of 10, right now they're ruling your country. Most important of all, moves ain't a one-man show. It's a cumulative effort from all you acolytes working towards it. A congregation, with or without any espiocrat to back. Anyone can pick the same job, but the smart monks with the best ideas gets the reward of using our mojo. Compete or cooperate, again, up to you, as long as you get the job done. We're in the dark about your plans, and you're in the dark on everyone else's. And our enemies, left guessing trying to figure out who's closing in on the prize.